The following is going to be more of a personal narrative and less of a informative discussion on Suboxone therapy. But it might still be worth your watching. I didn't know which way I was going to go with that. Maybe a Mario thing, or if I was going to do like a Czechoslovakian. Like it is. So damn bright. It's making me look more Chinese. Hold up. Oh, that's so much better. Damn Cam, coming to you live from the state of Hawaii. So really it's Hawaii it is. This is part 2 to the Suboxone questionnaire, something that morphed from a video posted from frustration, essentially, over the healthcare system for addicts in the new home state, the one that I love. I am so happy and blessed and grateful to call home, to have family roots in. I'm talking about the Isle of Big, not where I'm from. On October 25th, many of you saw a video. I don't remember what the title was. I believe we titled it something like Suboxone Therapy Appointment Gone Wrong, because essentially that's what it was. Our location, Naalehu, is the southernmost. No, I don't start speaking like that. If I start speaking like that, like this, it's the southernmost point in the USA, further south than the tip of Florida. And the closest provider is 2 hours and 15 minutes away. So about halfway there on the 25th, I got a message that said, don't forget your $100 copay for your marijuana appointment. And I thought, marijuana appointment, this must just be a generically generated, that'd be like artificially artificial, and that's unofficially official. So I just, almost in a pain in the mind, but I decided to call him, and I'm like, hey, what's up with this text? Oh, you don't want a medical marijuana appointment? I said, I'm already a marijuana patient with you guys. I'm established. I am in your system. Oh, we're sorry, Mr. Adams. Yeah, the practitioner that you're scheduled to see only does marijuana, not Suboxone. I said, well, I was misscheduled. I'm on my way to you. Who do I need to talk to in order to make this work? Well, Mr. Adams, on and on. And finally, I said, who is it that misscheduled me? May I speak to your supervisor? She's out. It's the same lady. She scheduled me, Jennifer. And Jennifer misscheduled me, then went on vacation, so she wasn't there. Now, here we are. Today is November 17th. More than 3 weeks, just about. And not everybody's island time here. Sometimes we get these, call them the Yahoo Mob. I didn't say that. They probably call me a, that's where I bleep it out, but I can't because my equipment is still held up. And in order to make the bleeps and bloops and deeps and dopes, we need to get our editing software for the damn interviews that we plan to do. Essentially, we've now been scheduled for our Suboxone, and our appointment's December 7th. So initial contact October 25th. Now, if it wasn't for my other doctor who already extended my Suboxone therapy program because he moved out of state, and I'd only been able to see him for about 8 months, having only moved here last November ourselves. So when it all came down to it, it was over a month and a week, just over a month, that we would have went without if not having been priorly established. I don't believe that's right. Coming from a place where I petitioned Congress in order to eliminate the gap, that the 2-week gap where you had to get prior authorization in order to go to inpatient treatment. And we were able to go and actually speak with well, I would say 3. Like, we did this twice for 2 different events, so 4 times, and spoke with a total of 2, a congressman and a congresswoman, and all the others were their constituents or associates, assistants or constituents. In order to change, we got to get rid of the flaw. In order to change it, we need to have people who are familiar with it. And I'm not talking about having John Fetterman release a bunch of his buddies from jail. I'm not talking about Joe Biden looking the other way and talking about himself as the big guy to his. We're getting off topic. DaamnTalk is off topic. Essentially, it's on point, off topic, off top of the dome, like rockets. Check your pockets with Eminem. Yo, you never never slim, but I've never been, unless I was. That's because I do it does, do it die. Who am I to screw a guy? Ooh, I do it die. I think I knew a fly and fly away, cause that's a die today. Exacerbate the pride of day. I just assumed that you couldn't hear because my eyes were like my ears and they sealed up tight like a fucking, oh, I almost got demonetized right there with that last one. I'm just being wacky, y'all. Bear with me, I'm gonna cut and come back. All right, I forgot about an integral piece of this thing. The reason why I am able to do this, not this, I can do this anytime, thanks to biology, because I am a man. We'll leave that one alone. No, I'm talking about this. I'm not gonna show you my personal info, but we can do this. And it's more of a grateful thing, you know? Like, I just showed my personal info. I'm gonna edit that one out. But listen, having been on this program for long enough to be able to comment on it, at least experientially, to the tune of probably close to 5 years total of my life. I've been on it 3 separate times, once for about 12 months, once for 18 months, and this last time for 34 months, God willing. And it works for me. It helps when my primary drug of choice, my primary outlet throughout my life was seeking a substance, and not only a substance, but I went to what some consider the ultimate depressant, heroin, which works very strangely, biologically, on some individuals. I haven't researched it enough to say what it is from. I've been around enough people, having been in 8 different rehab facilities for drugs, that it's a pretty reliable pool of people. These are people who are already at the point of admission or addressing the issue, therefore more likely to be real about it and not suppress, not deny. However, the point I'm trying to make is heroin can be a stimulant, and for us it was a stimulant. Suboxone therapy fills the receptors in the brain, the same receptors that heroin would, and acts as a blocker, an opiate blocker, essentially. Heroin is an heroin is an opiate. Opiates are artificial opium, essentially, which came from and comes from poppies. The other primary ingredient besides the buprenorphine is the naloxone, and that is essentially a